Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Dornbush Download. First one for 2016. Welcome
Amazing,
along, Dan.
isn't it?
Yeah, how was your New Year's and all
Really
that?
good, Michael, you know?
Yeah, they come around pretty quick these
They
days.
do, don't they? Yeah. And number 70.
Yes, we're
Amazing.
ticking along, absolutely. So, an interesting start too to markets.
Especially the Chinese one, Michael.
It hasn't been the best of starts, absolutely. Our market's certainly copping it in the first couple of days of trade. But yeah, China seems to be the culprit at this stage.
Yeah.
We saw, they basically were trading on, economic data was coming out basically throughout the whole, holiday period for us. PMI figures coming out, the CAGs and PMI numbers coming out at 48.2. Market was expecting about 49, and that sent Chinese markets into free fall, I guess. And the regulator recently introduced the circuit breaker. So that's when the CSI index, or the Shanghai Shenzhen index, drops by 5%. It shuts down for 15 minutes, and then if it drops by 7%, the market actually shuts down for the day. And lo and behold, they hit 5% down, shut for 15 minutes. A couple of minutes later, they were down 7%, and the market was closed completely. And
what would you do? You know, cross the road to Fibbers, wouldn't you?
Well, that's it. Pack up, feet on desks.
Off you go.
Yeah, send a few emails, and I think go and have a couple of drinks at the pub. But of course, that sent the ripple through, didn't it? And the US markets reacted,
and the European markets. Yeah. It's interesting though. Like the big drop in the Chinese market was those margin loans, wasn't it? Getting called. I think that's a lot of that's out of the system now. So I really think we'll get a rally in the Chinese market. I mean, that's a bit one out of left field, bit of a rally, and maybe ours as well. Rally up into April, and then are we going to get a mirror image of 2015 this year, where it just falls away in May down till October, November period again? So
yeah, certainly things have stabilised. The Bank of China threw in 130 billion yuan, I think, or around about 20 billion US dollars.
Don't spill that much at their Christmas party, I reckon.
So so there's a little bit of artificial holding up, I guess, at the moment. But there's a lot of bouncing around. But of course, it hasn't boded well for us. So the first couple of days have been pretty tough. Yesterday, I think we were down about 80 odd or something, down about 40 or so at the moment. So
I just see it went through that 5,150. So perhaps back to the bottom of the range around that 5,000 points. So. Yeah,
you could reasonably expect that now, couldn't you? That we'll probably sort of get back to that 5,000 point mark. So only time will tell, of course. But and certainly too, I guess, on our market, and again, not being a great start, pretty high profile retailer. Dick Smith falling on its sword there. What do you make of that?
That's tough, isn't it? The big losers there are those people with the gift cards, Michael, aren't they? National Bank and I think HSBC, they probably need to do themselves a bit of a favour and honour those gift cards, don't they? But they're not going to, I don't think. So. Yeah,
you'd have to think so. Unfortunately, being unsecured creditors, they're a fair way down the list. But interesting story with Dick Smith. Dick Smith, of course, sold the business, or predominantly, most of the business back in 1980 to Woolworths, and sold the rest. I think it was 1982.
He sold for 25 million.
Yeah, 25 million bucks. Woolworths held it for 30 odd years. They basically spent $300 odd million restructuring the company in 2012.
They didn't sell it for that, though, did they?
No, that was what they spent on it, and then I think they only ended up selling it for $20 million to Anchorage Capital towards the end of 2012, and then Anchorage recapitalised, restructured it, floated it with a $520 million market cap. Basically listed for a year and a bit, and we're in all sorts of trouble now. So
there's a real argument there in the papers now about private equity firms, isn't there?
They're coming under a fair bit of scrutiny at the moment, and rightly so, I guess. But more to come out of that, of course. I mean, Dick Smith, there's still a faint heartbeat there. Administrators have been called in, but there is a slight chance it may be recapitalised. But typically, when we get to this point, there's usually not much left.
The banks want their money back, don't they? And that was the sad part about it all, wasn't it? The private equity took sort of all the money out of the business before it floated. So, and by basically selling the stock, so Dick Smith then had to go and borrow to restock to get the market up, or get their business up and running. And it just hasn't worked for them. It's a tough marketplace, Michael, isn't it? Retail.
Absolutely, and really ever since day dot, it's just been a downward spiral. But certainly towards the end of last year, numerous profit downgrades, inventory write-downs, all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, it was really tough going for them.
Sounds like Myer, doesn't it? Yeah.
Very, very similar, doesn't it? Yeah. Myer's still hanging in there, of course, but similar sort of outcome since the listing. But pretty tough going. I guess back to NAB very quickly. All of NAB shareholders have no doubt read the 600-page booklet over the holiday period. But the clock is ticking there. Regarding voting and how you'd like to handle your Clydesdale shares, if you've got less than 2,000. But of course, as always, give us a call. We've read it cover to cover and know every word of it. Thanks, Brendan. But there's more information to come out, no doubt, in the next couple of weeks. So give us a call or send us an email.
We've got to get that Clydesdale Bank share price, don't we? We keep looking, but nothing's on the horizon, is it? So
yeah, that's right. There's a book build process sort of going on at the moment, so hopefully we'll get a bit better feel as to what these shares might be valued at, when they come to list 3rd of February. Yep. So, but Dan, I think that's sort of about it.
I think that covers it.
Tricky start to the year, but anyway, fingers crossed, hopefully we'll be able to get this sort of China rot out of the system and onward and upward.
That'd be a good...
Absolutely. Thank you.
Cheers.